Thank you for coming. We officially begin our members meeting. A few recommendations before we start. As I told you already, we are still under the emergency COVID regulations. So apart from the speakers who will take out their mask when they are speaking, inside this room you will be required to keep your mask on all the time, and we're responsible for that. So please, I know it's not very comfortable, but we have to stick to this rule. It's actually one of the regulations to which the Italians are adapting very well. So let's keep it that way. I'm very happy, and I have to now introduce our first speaker, that Iga accepted our invitation to be with us today. For those who were not with us in prior members meetings, we started to discuss about legal tech and what it would look like in our lives and professions in the future a few years back. And it was actually a very interesting and lively debate back in Utrecht, I think 3 years ago, and we were discussing contract automation. And we had a faction of people fiercely against it, and some who would say, well, we should know more about it before we take a position and take a stand and understand what that means for our profession. And I think we are here today to go down that road, to understand more. In the afternoon, I will also tell you about something we are doing ourselves at Legalmondo with legal tech and with contract automation. So thank you, Iga, for joining us. Iga Kurowska works as head of legal innovation and legal tech at Action Legal, a corporate law firm in Spain, Valencia, right? She holds a PhD from Sorbonne Law School, dedicating her research to data-driven international M&As. She has experience working as a French lawyer and a university lecturer, as well as a startup founder, with an exit to Wolters Kluwer. She's an author of numerous publications on legal tech and a member of international initiatives around legal innovation, such as AIJA Legal Tech Board or Global Tech Consortium. The title of Iga's speech today is Decoding Legal Tech, Legal Innovation in a Small and Medium Law Firm. So it's actually spot on for our discussions. I'm very looking forward to knowing more. And Iga, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us again.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Roberto, for having me, for inviting me, and I'm very pleased to be here with you, and welcome. So, I've been always much better at negative elimination, which means that I much rather knew what I didn't know, or what I didn't like, or what I didn't feel like, than what I really actually wanted. And when I was thinking how to approach that topic, how to speak to you about legal innovation and legal tech, the topic that is really in a buzz now, because everybody speaks about innovation and technology and digitalization and transformation and revolution, I was actually thinking, I don't want to speak about like what everybody else speaks about. I don't want to ask the question whether lawyers are gonna be replaced by robots. I don't want to talk to you guys about whether you should learn how to code. I don't want to speak about the use of artificial intelligence or blockchain. I could, but I just don't want to. So this is what I'm good at. I know what I don't want. And then, of course, you have to figure out what you're going to speak about. I got an hour. So actually, this is what I'm not going to talk about. What I will talk about, and when Roberto approached me, we discussed my role, and he told me that actually even this would be interesting for you guys to know what I do at the law firm. I thought to myself, well, I like a very pragmatic approach. I like the hands-on approach. I like to speak about things that I do on a daily basis. I don't want to go into those everybody uses artificial intelligence. I want to go into facts with no feeling of guilt that you guys are not doing enough, because I feel like that's something that's been out there, and this is not what I wanted to do. Again, I knew what I didn't want. So I will speak about the why, the how, and I think I have to touch not mine, but the Mac so that it goes back. I will talk about the why, the how, and then, if so, we have some time left, but I believe so, I will talk about the what I do as the head of legal tech and innovation at a small or medium, depending on the definition, law firm. So again, the decision, and I like to go with you through the process of me thinking and defining why I want to speak to you about that. So I've just had this discussion with a friend of mine, because there is so many legal tech events going on. We've just had the Legal Geek in London happening in the beginning of October. Now we've got another conference in London happening, and there is another more upcoming as well. So a lot, everybody's coming back to the in-person meetings, and that's excellent. I'm very pleased to see you guys in person and not having to do it online. And he was like, and it's somebody that I really respect, and he's really recognized in this environment of legal innovation. He says, yeah, but everybody speaks about what. We have to speak about why and how. And then I went back in my thoughts to what I've discussed with Roberto when he invited me to speak to you guys, and I realized that I'm gonna speak about what again? I realized that I wanted to speak to you about my role, which is what I do on a daily basis, and although I find it insightful, and I'm not gonna skip on it, I just found that I'm doing the same thing. I'm speaking about what again. And we've all heard Simon Sinek say, start with why. So I was thinking, okay, why? Let's start with why. Why? And when you have everything prepared, because I've had that talk with my friends literally the day before yesterday. So even Roberto received the version of my slides that were not updated yet. So I had, when the moment, I don't know, when you're drafting a contract or drafting some sort of agreement or conclusions for the court, and then you think you put the full stop on it, but in your head you go on tick-tock, tick-tock. You're thinking what else to add, how to end something. It doesn't feel finished. So that's how I felt about this, speaking about what the role of the Chief Innovation Officer, or whatever the label for it is. So I got back to this why, and I really thought, why do we innovate? And before I go in there, let me lead you a bit through my way, my own whys that got me to walk in this role. So as Roberto mentioned in the introduction that I thank him for, and these were very nice words, I started, as everyone here present, by going to law school. I chose France as my destination. I was born in Poland and emigrated to Canada, graduated high school there. I did my university in France, and already in the third year, I felt like the technology is taking over. a very tech-savvy person, so I was, downloading, but a teenager, basically. And I thought, well, this is really interesting. How should I put it and apply it to law? So together with a few friends of mine, and we won't call it a startup, we would just call it an idea, a project that I did. We set up a platform with something we would call today a marketplace for lawyers. So of course, I was working at the firm, I was doing my internship half-time, working half-time and studying half-time. And I, of course, applied what I did in the law firm to this marketplace idea. So it was in the area of international clients, search by the language, geographical location, and so on. Something we could even transfer Legalmondo into that sort of platform, right? So we are speaking back 2014. And this got me really thinking. Of course, I wanted to make it big. I wanted to, sell it to everybody. And it didn't work at the end, but it's not the point. What I really understood is my vibe for entrepreneurship and really my feeling of wanting to do something with it. So then I continued my career in law, and I was studying in Paris, and I was surrounded by all the people that were really, Sorbonne Law School, you can imagine. As you imagine, that's how it is. Everybody's really 90% going for the big four. And when I was younger, of course, let's get back to my negative elimination. I knew I wanted to study law, but I knew I didn't want to be a lawyer. But at this point, that's kind of the only career I thought that was out there. And I was surrounded by all those high achievers. Everybody was going for, international arbitration, international M&As, and that's how I graduated. I started working as a lawyer. I must say I quite enjoyed it. I founded a law firm. I had a great chance and a great privilege to work with somebody who has had much more experience than I did, because after a law school, you don't know really much, although you can do any internship you want. So I was under this mentorship, and I had a great privilege to work with somebody who was really passing on the knowledge and the craftsmanship, of being a lawyer to me. So this was excellent. And I thought this spark of entrepreneurship, of business that I found in myself when launching the student project, I'm going to find into building a business. So this was my idea. I tried to think, well, I'm going to build a law firm as if it was a business, because after all, law firms are businesses. And when I was thinking about that and doing that, actually, well, things got, there was more and more about technology. I never really disconnected from it. And it was very, very sexy to me. It was really speaking to me. And it was something I really felt connected to. And then the pandemic happened. I decided to follow my heart and move to Spain. And you know how difficult it is to practice in another jurisdiction from across the border. It's in private law, it's really quite impossible. So I was working on common client with one of the Spanish law firms, and they were asking me, because I was quite involved in this, about this digitalization, about what I really do, what I mean, what kind of tools do I use, and they were trying to get my help on it. And at the same time, I was, keeping my hand on the legal tech because I didn't know how else to move there. So I went to a hackathon, which I'm not sure you are familiar with. It's an initiative that is really run over a weekend that accumulates the lawyers, the IT guys, all the marketing, and basically any people that you need to build a business. And they spent 72 hours together, so they spend the weekend together, and they build a project from start to finish. They pitch it, and then somebody wins. So I went there because I had a podcast. It was in Warsaw just before the pandemic happened, like really just the days before. And with 5 other guys, we built this new application. So we decided to do something very easy. We actually we're very lucky because we managed to plug in and open the commercial registers of Polish companies. So we plugged in with something that's called API. So you need that to get all the data from one application to plug into another. So we managed to convince them, although they were in legal obligation to have that open, it wasn't much the case, and it is unfortunately the situation in many other countries. And we managed to, do our pressure, put the pressure on them, do our lobby on it, and they did, and we plugged in, and it was a success for us. We managed to fill in with all the company registers, and at the end, we did that exit. So this was all happening in May. We are really speaking a few months back, and the application, another legal tech project, it really boomed. It was a great success. We got an offer from Wolters Kluwer to sell it. I was like, we are 6 in a startup. I looked at the statistic. The percentage of startups that succeed with 6 founders is 2.6. I was like, I might rather get my chances and sell it quicker than basically make the project fail. So we did the exit. And let's go back to this conversation with the law firm, the Spanish law firm that I was working with, on a client first, and they got me, and they were like, we'd really like your help on this. Like, if we can find a way around it and get your help on this. So I was living comfortably back in Valencia, in Spain, the place I really wanted to go back to. I was craving, as everybody at this time, or even now, human connection. The work from across the border from Spain, working in France, was very challenging. It was very difficult to lead a business. Although we had clients and we could go on it, it wasn't something that I felt fulfilled with, because business development requires human connection, it requires team building, and I just felt like I'm failing on my partner who's in there, in France, who's doing that, and I'm there, enjoying my beach and in my mojito, and really pretending that I'm just delivering the work and not really participating full on it. I wasn't being fair, and that's what I had this talk, and I decided to go full into legal tech. So these were kind of my whys. So really personal motivation of changing the jurisdiction, feeling like this trigger for entrepreneurship, and not being really fulfilled in the legal career that I chose for myself. But then when thinking about this speech and thinking about this talk with you guys, I'm pulling it, it's okay, thanks a lot. I thought to myself, but what is the why for the innovating in a small and medium law firm? And I want you to take that few seconds for really trying to start with why and thinking, what is the why? Because I was preparing that conversation in my mind, basically, and I was thinking of the whys that for me, and I wanted to share them with you, and I will. But before that, try to think about what is the why. Why should we? And something else that the friend of mine told me is that for people really to make a move, they need not always a loss of chance, but they need a real threat. So, I myself was always taught that when you do something, you do it because it's a must, not because it's a should. We all have shoulds, and we should all of ourselves. But when you do something, it's a must. So what's the must for the law firms, for the small and medium law firms, to do that digital transformation? And I think that this is a big question to ask, but it is an essential question to ask if we really want to take this step, because I see that on a daily basis now in my role. We are full on with our jobs, with our daily obligations, so we need that must to take this step into innovating, into using tech, into changing the ways things are done. So just take a few moments now to think about that why. What do you think this why would be? No, I think you can answer. Submitted through my email. No, well, these are my whys. My whys are the following, because I knew again, and you know how my mind functions by now, I didn't want to talk about the unscalability of the business law firms. this was too obvious for me, or I didn't want to speak about the lack of efficiency. I didn't want to speak about some other reasons, such as the alternative service providers. These were for me the obvious, the ones that you've heard before. I wanted really to dig into the why of why should we innovate. And what I realized, and maybe in your heads, when you had those 5 seconds that I gave you, you realize that legal profession is not really in the best place. And it's really, when I was thinking about that, it struck me, and I realized that we are not that well. We used to maybe, but right now we are not doing very well. I'm saying that for the following reasons, and I'm listing 3, although I believe I could go on. First of all, I think that we are just not well. I think that, and the statistics say, that over 70% of lawyers work overtime. And if you think, again, in silence, you don't have to share, and we're not going to do the show of hands, but if you think how many people around you struggle with mental health issues, how many went into burnout, have insomnia, how many people are under anxiety, under a lot of stress and pressure, we are not doing well. And I believe, although the saying says, it's debatable, happy wife, happy life, I believe that we can do the happy lawyer, happy client. Happy wife, happy life. Happy life, happy wife. So I believe that we can do the happy client, happy lawyer, happy client. Because if we are dealing with all of that, how can we best serve our clients? So this was my first why, because I do know a lot of people who struggle with that, and I don't think this is serving even our clients. Then I thought about another thing, and I know that there are a few people, French people, in the room, and maybe they've known this research, that actually said in 2018 that by 10 years of expertise, 30% of lawyers drop out of the profession. I think that it goes even higher within the first 2 or 5 years. I really didn't have much time to dig into the statistics, and we all know how the statistics work, but I think and I see around that this is true. We drop off the profession. So we study for it, and then we drop off, we change careers for many reasons. I'm not saying that all of it is negative, but for many people it's due to stress and the unhealthy lifestyle and the lack of balance between the private life and the professional life. There is another realization that I made when I was thinking about this why. There is a lot of theories. Some people say that it's 10,000 hours that you need for an expertise. Then I digged in, and apparently it's 20,000, 25,000 hours that you need to devote to something to become an expert. And I put it in my slide just last night that you need that. So who will be the experts of the future in law if we drop out so quickly? And I'm not speaking here about the knowledge of law, because we know it's not what counts really. We can Google that, we can research that. We've got, it's not the knowledge that counts really it does. We are specialists, we are experts, but this is not the expertise that I speak about. It is dealing with the clients, it is knowing how to handle the case. There is much more to being a lawyer than just being a great specialist. There was this thing about the best students in law school, they become judges or something. Anyway, the C students, they become the partners. It's not because you don't have to be a great spend, you don't have to have A's in your law school to become a partner, but it's also because it takes this social skill to be really good with clients. So if we drop out, how many experts will we have on the market? Considering especially the previous slide, and that the rest maybe, they are not really that well. And another one that I really thought of, and that can be debatable, and we can speak about that a bit later on, is the eventual and arising professional obligation when it comes to technology and innovation. So now you can think of another mental exercise in the morning. You can think of the day you sworn to be a lawyer, the day you promised to act in the best interest of the client. Well, here it comes. If you're not using the tools that are available to you, are you serving the best interest of the client? If you're not being the most efficient that you are you serving the best interest of the client? And I'm in a room full of lawyers. I don't want to get into the debate of professional liability. I don't want to get into the debate of the professional insurance covering, not covering the technological damage possible, and so on and so on. But still, we should think about that. Are we really doing our job the best way we can? Because even if we leave that sort of technology innovation part, even in terms of efficiency, I've had colleagues of mine admit openly that they had to hand in something, and I'm sure it's happened to me as well in the past, not at the top quality they wanted because they were under the time pressure. And they knew it wasn't good enough, but they had to hand it because the time required it. Therefore, we can ask ourselves, are we really being fulfilling that kind of obligation? And also, here I listed, it's just one of the examples. I know that California has the same thing. Rule 1.1 of the Competence of Model Rules of Professional Conduct, amended 2019, to keep abreast of changes in the law and its practice, including the benefits and risks associated with relevant technology. So this is my third and last why. This is why I believe that it is a must for us to act now and not a should. And this is why I believe that the time to act is really now. So, you know, we had the why, and of course it's quite personal. It's from the experience that I've lived. Everyone can have their own whys and should have their own whys. And then the friend of mine said, everybody talks about what? We should talk about why and how. And in my head, why, how, why, how, why, how? So what's the how? It's not easy to distinguish the what from how sometimes. So in my presentation later on, the second part that follows, that it's much more attractive visually because it was prepared by the marketing team. This is something that I've managed to put together on the last minute. I was thinking about the how. So how do we do it? How do we turn this need to act now into an action? We need to know not only what to do, but also how to do it. And I know and I hear people, we want to do it. I just don't know where to start. I just don't know how. So I try to think in my head about, again, just 3 things that I believe that are really important to keep in mind at the time of innovating in a small and medium law firm. So these are the 3. The first being the individual incentives, the second one, small wins, and the third one, collective culture. So let me lead you through every one of the 3. So the first one, actually I thought of when hearing an example that I'm gonna take again to present you. It was the case of the e-billing software. So, you know, for instance, Harvest, maybe some of you have it at your law firm, where all the lawyers of the law firm are required to put in the billable hours. And this is something that happens with technology a lot. Using the technology, and especially at the moment of onboarding, so especially on the moment of application of the tool, of putting on the data, it's non-billable hours. And lawyers, they have the billable hours to make, and we all think about billable hours. So requiring our team to invest their time into yet another task that is not billable is difficult. It's even suicidal in the sense of they want to, but they just have to do their billable hours. And this is something I do understand. It's really difficult to get your hands on something if you have your priorities and something that you are accountable for. So this is a longer debate, this is a longer topic, and something that requires a lot of reflection, and maybe something that I don't really have the answers to right away. But I believe that it goes back to the core of the business model that we got. We are being remunerated in a big part for the billable hours. So yet, the anecdote was that they installed this e-billing software, yet people weren't really doing their job. And I see it in my law firm, like there is the office manager chasing everyone week by week. Do you guys check your billable hours? You get check updated, whether it's up to date and so on. We have to send the invoices, blah, 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 you know how it goes. It's really a dual thing to do. Nobody likes it. But then I think, but what's their incentive? So this is just an example, this is just an anecdote, but I believe that's something we have to keep on the top of our heads. We have to think about the individual incentives of the team members that participate on the project in relation to legal innovation or legal technology. What's their take on this? Why should they do it? What's their why? I mean, we've just talked about why. What is theirs in here? Why would they do this task? Maybe, unfortunately, I do believe that here we have to dig down and go back to the business model, the billable hour that is in question, and maybe change it so that they know they have an incentive to do that. There is another one. The second how, I believe, is essential for somebody who's thinking of somebody who's decided to take the first step into legal innovation is small wins of strong teams. Why is it small wins and why is it strong teams? I believe legal innovation, and I've seen that and I see that on a daily basis, it's not a one-person job in the sense of you need the team to be on the boat with you. You cannot do it on your own. And you really cannot do it on your own. We've seen cases again, like with the billable e-billing software, where there was a CRM implemented in a legal firm. Nobody used it. So much time and money, especially it was customized, spent into something that 2 people used. The people who was the head and co-head of the project. It wasn't used, and that's not what we want. We don't want to force the change, and if we don't have the people together on board with us, we're not going to succeed in this. So this is the strong team. What about the small win? The small win is because if we take anything in life that's too complex, it's not going to get executed. So another saying that I believe in is the complexity is the enemy of execution. If something is too complex for us, we cannot get our head around it, we won't execute it because we don't know where to start. So the small win, to take an example, would be to really think about something that is easily implantable, that's something that's maybe not the highest stake of your legal innovation dreams, but something that will get the team on board, something that will get you the first win quickly, in a pleasant way, so that another project you come in with different energy. Because I see that on a daily basis. I'm the chaser, you know. In legal innovation we say, and another metaphor that I'm gonna use, you've got the, what is it called, the thing that you push on the construction place. What is it called? The carrier, you know what I'm speaking about, right? There is this, yeah. So we've got this, and it's missing a wheel, right? But people keep on pushing it. And there is somebody that comes in with the wheel and says, put the wheel on it. But the person is, I have to keep on pushing, I have to keep on walking. This is how it works. We keep on pushing that thingy that we don't know the name of, but we don't take the time and spend the time because we are too busy to put on the wheel. And this is me pushing, you know, me with the wheel there, standing behind everybody, and everybody's telling me on a daily basis, we're too busy. So this is really a difficult thing. And I'm not saying the opposite. I would be lying if I said that, oh, it's so easy, we do it like that. No, it's a difficult thing. So to make it simpler, we have to make it feasible, we have to make it simple. And to make it simple, we have to set the SMART goals. And what is the third how in my mind? Well, according to myself and from my experience, the second how is the culture shift based on collective intelligence. So, of course, again, we've got two ingredients. We've got the culture shift and we've got the collective intelligence. This goes against our lawyer nature. We are not into knowledge sharing. Even within the law firms, I listen to that. I'm a part of this association which only gathers the legal innovators within the law firms. And someone from, I believe, a Swiss law firm was speaking about building the templates for the contracts they got in order to automate something that you guys are on, I know, the exercise of contract automation. So, of course, the first step into this is to build a template that is common for the law firm, where everybody had their own perfect template. My template is better than yours. I'm not going to share my template because I need special explanations, you know. Let's give ourselves a break. My template is just a template. It's okay, like we believe, and I believe that it goes back to the fact that we keep on believing, mistakenly, unfortunately, at this time, that our added value is the expertise. It's no longer the case because everything is out there in the net and everyone can read that stuff. The excellence nowadays is the capacity of analysis, the capacity of real human connection, the human intelligence. So therefore, let's share, let's keep on discussing, because the legal innovation, legal tech, it's something already difficult. So if you want to take a very traditional, individualistic approach towards this, we're not going to go far, because simply we won't have time. So if we do it together, if we share, if we do the exchange on the best practices, if we don't stick to being the traditional, close-minded, unfortunately, lawyers, and I'm feeling very concerned in here. I'm not just, criticizing all of you guys. I have this state of mind sometimes. I'm trying to fight it, but I think it's the only way. We have to exchange, we have to open source law firms, imagine. People don't want to share, but we have to, because it is the only way to push through that change, especially in small and medium law firms. And now, I finally got to my what, sorry. I'm looking at the clock, I got 20 minutes, so this is more or less what I expected. And this is one of the what's, in the sense, try to look at this presentation with the eyes of what from here can I take and try to implement in my legal practice. Because there is an ongoing debate whether legal innovation should come from bottom-up or top-down approach, whether it should be something that's led by somebody that's hired particularly for this reason, such as me, or it's something that should come from the collectivity of lawyers that are working, and it should be integrated part of a law firm without having a special role for it. And I'm still debating. I don't have my take on it. Sometimes it depends. I do believe, however, that it must be a collective thing. So, the role of the Chief Innovation Officer, let me tell you a few words about that. Well, first of all, I believe that we should divide it into two parts. There is the internal work and there is the external work. Before I go into the explanation, I must make a disclaimer in that the role really is different for each law firm, depending on its needs, depending on its size, depending on its structure, depending whether it has a business developer working with them, a marketing team, a chief information officer, and so on. So it's hard, but I'm going to try to give a role description that maybe some of you will take and pick and choose from it what you believe could be a fit for your firm. So at the internal level of the law firm, it's really about building that spirit of innovation. It's about finding what we call low-hanging fruits and working on them to improve the efficiency, to improve the processes, to rethink the business model, to rethink the strategy, to really think about what's there and how to make it better. It's about change management. Change management is really difficult. It's really difficult to get that, wheel put on while still pushing that career. Let's stick to the career. It's really difficult. And I'm not saying it's not, but this is why somebody has to keep on running with that wheel, and you have to think about small steps, small things that you can add to the pile so it builds up, and at one point you take a risk, you make a switch, and it fits, or it fails. But this is innovation. So this is the inside. What about the outside, the external part? And I will distinguish the particular task later on, but first, in a few words of introduction. So the external part is really about working with the client. So, here we could mention the alternative legal service providers and really the change and whether the clients, they will go for them or not. There are some debates about the quality of the service they provide. There is, of course, the price factor. They're being cheaper, but we say it's not really law they do. Well, but do the client care? We are perfectionists. You know that the perfection is not really a good thing. So do they really care that everything is so shiny and so polished? They just want to get it done, and this we have to face the reality sometimes, and the reality can be difficult to swallow. So it's about working with the client. It's about really discovering what are its needs, what he wants, how he wants things to be done, what is the most important for him, and trying to incorporate that into the service of the law firm. The clients want solution. They don't want legal advice anymore. And we have to provide them with what they want. And we have to make ourselves the most available to what they most research. So the internal missions go as following. The first one, depending on the structure of the law firm again, is being the traditional chief information officer. So being really someone that is there for the use of technology, the analyzing of the available technology, spotting the inefficiencies in a law firm, thinking about the contract life cycle, thinking about what is not used, because even if we think about the software, and maybe this is the small win that is already in your law firm, it's not completely used sometimes. When I was discussing with Wolters Kluwer, we're doing the deal, discussing some external stuff, they said that doing the updates in the software they offer, it's really a very bad investment they make, because nobody knows the updates. Nobody cares about the updates. We are so focused on our daily use of the tool that we never look at the updates. We can have the notification, but how fast do we close the notification? Like, super fast. So this is the updates, and they've invested the money into it. They made it better, but do we care? We don't. So we have to think about it, and maybe there should be someone that is there that makes the, like we do about the law, that updates about the new case law, that updates about the new novelties in the legal software that is already implemented in the law firm. Then there is the part about testing legal tech solutions. It's really a job on its own to know what's there available on the market, to make the demo of it, to reach out, to negotiate, to test it, to think about it, to pass the budget on, and so on. So this would be yet another thing that the Chief Innovation Officer could take care of. And then, of course, collaborating, that the conformity side, we are still a law firm, we're still the place that should walk the talk. So we have to make sure that in terms of data, in terms of privacy, the solutions, they meet all the requirements. And this is very important because it's quite unregulated in many countries, and we have to watch out for that. Another internal mission of a Chief Innovation Officer is curating ideas and facilitating innovation processes within the team. I'm very big on processes. I really honestly believe that if I managed to stop the law firm from working for like 3 months, I would rethink every process that's going on there. I think that we just get our hands on it and then we do it without sometimes thinking of how it should be done. And also we don't take advantage of small things that we could, such as internal manuals of how things are done, playbooks in the law firms of who does what in what moment. Then we can automate it, so then we can make notification system. We can really make, there are tools that make, send you an email that it is your turn to whatever. And even this can be done very easily with a simple act of signature, where there is so many stakeholders to sign, and instead of emailing each other, oh, you gotta send it, or emailing to the secretary and so on, it just pops out and everybody signs, and it flows with the roles assigned to each workflow that is the existence in a law firm. Also, another thing that I believe is very important here is the same level, harmonious level of service that is being provided by every lawyer at the law firm. I know it's kind of utopian in the sense of course, it's based on experience. We're not going to get the juniors as proficient in the profession as the maybe seniors. But I still believe that the knowledge management within a law firm should be rethought. And I think that we have to detach the knowledge and the clients from the lawyers and make appropriate them to the law firms. Why am I saying this? This would make things so much easier in a sense of, imagine that you know the role of a partner that makes a contact with a client, that is there to give this feeling, very traditional if you think about it, about the role of a lawyer, when there was a lawyer that was the symbol of trust, the lawyer that is there for his client so he can speak of. And in numerous occasions, you feel like you have to be the one that makes contact with the client. But if you were sure that the person within the law firm knows as much about the client as you do, because you detach the knowledge about the customer from yourself to the law firm, and everybody at the law firm has the same knowledge, then you can pass on that client and you free yourself. Or you have a choice to free yourself if you want to. And choice, that's everything we want. Another mission that we could speak of is maximizing the operational and financial performance at the law firm. So this is again goes back to the change management. This goes back to the strategy. Here I could give an example of the HR. If you think about the pyramid of the law firm, 90% of the employees in a law firm are lawyers. Think about different sectors where the core operators of a business are 90% of a business. Nowhere. That was quick of an answer, but nowhere. It's a no-brainer. We have the marketing team. We have the sales. We have the, we have the IT. And in the law firms, we do it all. In the law firms, we love to do it all. This is. So, in terms of HR, you have to think long term. Is the person within the growth of a law firm somewhere I want to get to? Does the person have the skills to provide me with that? You know, the T-shaped lawyer. If you don't know, write it down. This is something quite interesting of what skills the lawyer needs. This is something you can Google easily. I'm not going to speak about that. T-shaped lawyer. I believe that we need teams that are T-shaped, not lawyers that are T-shaped. T-shaped teams. This is my take on it. Okay, another one. designing innovative offer for the innovative client. So again, thinking about what solutions can I give, thinking about whether this is something that's going to be billable again by an hour, or we can make a package of it. Thinking about how to develop and how to, there is even LSD for lawyers, legal service design. Thinking about how to design that offer, how to present yourself towards the clients, and helping clients with their own sale. And then my favorite, because as you have heard, that my PhD was devoted to data-driven operations from a legal standpoint, but data, I'm huge on data. I think that we don't take advantage of data and we are really falling far behind. And I have a fear that maybe we are getting control of it and we are not going to take it back at the right time. But there is two important leads for the data in the law firm. You can start with the first one. The second one is a bit higher level, and not everybody is going to do it, but that's all right. But using the data, collecting the data, and using the data to do business intelligence, all the businesses now that are the most successful are data-driven, yet we don't always collect the data. And the second one is really building, and this is something maybe the next speaker is going to talk about using the data, the power of legal data. Something very, very interesting, how much data we gather in our law firms, how many information, and how we can turn that information into, for instance, algorithm. But this is higher level, I understand that. And then we can speak about a few of the external missions. So really being the kind of image of a law firm as well, because let's not be afraid of saying that, and I started my speech with that this is a very buzzword, legal tech and legal innovation now. So of course, having somebody that's devoted to this role is also a marketing, a PR thing. So raising client engagement and collaboration. I believe that this is really the most important, and personally, I'm not there yet, in a sense of joined the law firm end of April. I'm still trying to get my head around what's to be done on the inside so that we can go and work on the outside after that. But when working with clients, we can really learn about their pain points. Do we do feedback in legal professions? No. Like feedback, we know from the all the methodologies that are available there, the lean methodology. I mean, feedback is so important for improvement. Yet, nobody almost does feedback. I remember this was a big controversy in France, at least, when the marketplaces appeared and people were leaving comments about the lawyers. And we're like, oh, no, it's like going to the doctor. If he didn't give you the right medicine, then you're not happy, but yet it was the medicine, you just didn't heal. And the lawyers, oh, this is very subjective. Well, but we are not used to getting feedback. I'm not saying maybe that's the perfect way to do it. We have to think it through. But we should be interested in feedback about our job, both on the inside and on the outside, both within the organization and with the clients. And also, we could speak here about we could go as far as building the appropriate legal solution for the legal department we work with. This is already a further step, but some of us already do it. And being true partners, not just advertising that. So another one, of course, as I mentioned, the marketing part, so really building an image of innovative law firm, which is something that attracts our clients. And I don't see a need of going more into details. I think that this is something a chief innovation officer or the head of innovation legal tech should do. We should speak about what we do, and we should be really open about the process we are going through. I'm not saying false marketing. I'm not saying selling, as we say in Spanish, selling the smoke. That's not what I mean. False marketing is not really my thing, and I think that you have to walk your talk, because at one moment or the other it's going to come out. But still, saying that you're working on it, that's all right. Saying that you're thinking about it, exchanging with your clients even of how it is done in different sectors. You would be surprised how much they are interested in collaborating with us because they want it also for their own good, because they are simply tired of long waits and not collaborative lawyers. And then there is the part of networking. So one of my missions when working at Action Legal is also creating a community and being a part of the community. And I believe this goes back to my how, the third how, which was the collective intelligence, collaboration and the collective intelligence. I don't really know sometimes what I'm doing in my job. I'm innovating. We're like the astronauts. We don't have the path. I didn't do it in law school. I read some handbooks in different sectors about the process, the change management, and so on. I did some courses. But sometimes you just try and fail and try again. This is the process. It's really a cultural shift. And I believe that being a part of community and supporting each other, exchanging about the best practices, learning how it's done, learning what's failed within different organizations, that's healthy. And we should speak about that more openly. And one of the roles that I have a pleasure of being in charge of is really that, is going out and not only speaking about what we do openly, but also learning about what others do and seeing whether it could work for us or not. So just to end, because I have a few more minutes left, example of action. I gave 3 for a change. From legal templates to data-driven law firm. So we start from building the templates within an organization of the documents, of the contracts, and then we can move as far as extracting the data from the legal documents to build AI solutions that can see the patterns, that can give us, for instance, some kind of predictions, that can detect clauses, and so on. This is from going small to really building and taking advantage of it. Another one, from a CRM implementation to harmonizing client experience. So I've mentioned that. I use that as an example in one of the points that I've discussed before. Really implementing a simple, also free, very often, software for customer management, where you really keep track of the interactions with your clients. It's not that just an exchange of emails and keeping the knowledge of the client to yourself. It's shifting the knowledge of the client also, and another legal knowledge as well, from you to the workplace, detaching it, so that everyone has the same level of service in your law firm towards every client. And then again, small wins, quick wins, but together. So this will get the energy that is needed, because we have to accumulate that energy for it to happen. And 2 last general remarks that maybe are quite repetitive with what I've said, but this is the part of the presentation that was meant to be said, not the first part. About it takes a village to raise a child. It takes commitment, support, money, leadership to innovate. The percent of law firms in Spain that has the budget for innovation is around 32. At least that's the statistic they gave me in around 2019. 32 for the innovation and technology as of budget. There is no project without budget. Let me tell you that. You have to budget those things to make them happen. Step by step, there is a lot of free software available as well, but you have to make a commitment. And sometimes also money is one of the factors that keeps us accountable. If you are not convinced, you can think about the last time some of you maybe paid the gym membership, or your friends that did that. And also the topic of the return on investment in legal tech. It is a difficult topic, and I invite you, if it's something that interests you, to follow, keep in touch with me, because I'm doing a webinar on it in the end of 23rd of November. It's not yet announced, but it's gonna be very soon. The topic is gonna be completely devoted to measuring the return on investment in legal technology. It's not usual metrics that we use for legal technology implementation. It's different. We're gonna have a speaker from Della, which is an AI-based software, from French-English one, So this is going to be interesting, and I look forward to learning more about that, because I'm a huge fan of data-driven decisions, and ROI is one of the factors that we have to measure so that we know that our project is as successful or not. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Iga. I really enjoyed, took a lot of notes, and we'll be reviewing. In particular, I'm not sure how many of you, not too many, but were there the very first meeting we had in Milano? Anyone? Michiel, of course, yes. Javier, right? You may or may not remember that I was using one slide, I think very early on, talking about innovation, and it was the same thing that Iga was mentioning. So 2 or 3 cavemen pushing a cart full of stones with square wheels. And the 4th caveman came in saying, "Hey, I had an idea of a round wheel." And they said, no, we're too busy for that. Now, come back later. So I think that's an excellent point. And I believe that there's no way that we can, going to your last slide, innovate if we keep doing the same things and if we don't invest money, but I would also say time. So time is money, of course. So precious. Thank you. Very good insights. Any question or remark that you would like to share with Iga before we move on to second part of our morning? Don't be shy. Yes, Christian. Yeah.
Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot, Christian, for that question. I think that, of course, it depends on the need. Deep L. It depends on the use case that you want. I'm a big fan of stopping the internal communication through emails in law firms. I think it has to stop, that you guys keep on, and we keep on sending the emails within our members. We use Slack. I know that it's free for internal communication, depends on the size of the organization, but Slack, S-L-A-C-K. So it is for community building. It is used for a variety of different, it has a lot of integrations that are just beautiful for the soul. Yeah, it's not very innovative. And then I know that, for instance, case management software that is free for use for small law firms is Umberlo. Umberlo. A-M-B-R-L-O. This is also free and has a very low cost if you go up to 1 user and so on. It really depends. I do believe that this is just, again, something that I didn't say in my presentation. I should have probably. This is just the tool. The tech is tool. In my job, although it's the head of innovation and legal tech, the tech part is basically 10%. Because sometimes to innovate, you don't need tech. You just need to rethink the processes, rethink the way things are done, and then support it with tech. But this comes last. So I've seen a lot of shifts where it was really like rethinking the way, and then, oh, there are tools, but what I'm trying to pass on the message here is that when you are thinking about this technology and moving in this area of legal tech and legal innovation, try not to have the shiny toy syndrome. This is very dangerous in the sense of we like toys. I mean, we like toys sometimes, and I think that there are linear phases of development. There is one that is the core, should be the core, which is the need-based software acquisition, which comes from the need. You go step by step. You start with simple processes. Everything is thought through. And then there is this not sure how to label it, maybe opportunity. Let's label it opportunity software implementation, where you hear of something that could be useful. It's mainly for instance, I don't know, you're into real estate and there is something in real estate. I know for litigation there are a few apps, depending on the market. There was just Powiadomka in Polish market that was released for the replacements and of the lawyers that plead in given jurisdiction. These are very jurisdiction-based applications, so I'm not aware of all of them. But this would be opportunity-based software implementation, because you saw it, it's new on the market, because it's useful for you depending on the branch of law that you practice. Keep an eye on it, but don't fall into the shiny toy syndrome.
Let me introduce you before, because we have a non-lawyer here, another non-lawyer. Luca Canepa is a good friend and has been advising, so trusted advisor for Legalmondo. We met in China a few years back, and we actually didn't do much in China together, but we're working on a number.
But at least we have worked here, and
we're working here. Yeah,
kept the friendship going on.
That's right.
I think it's congratulations, very well. And I think it's not. I'm commenting as a non-lawyer, but having worked with lawyers a lot. I mean, I've been 15 years with the Walt Disney Company, and considering we only have one asset that is a pair of ears to defend, there are more lawyers there than in a very big law firm within the company, and as a non-legal. I think, though, that building on these last questions and talking about software, if I may, I wouldn't consider these big changes, which might be big changes for the legal industry, but are not really big changes in the industry itself, should not be seen and taken from the technology viewpoint or from the software viewpoint. Softwares are a commodity. The mother of the commodities and of the software is always pregnant, as we say. I think it's much more, as you emphasized in one of your slides, a matter of mentality, a matter of culture. And I think that you also talked about approach bottom up or top down. The best is to keep doing it in a mixed way. Checking and double checking, going up, going down. And I think that there are here represented in this room plenty of big size, I don't know, certainly small and mid, certainly a good representation. And I think that my advice to you will be, if you can't start the process of innovating legal firms from your own legal firms at all, do it through Legalmondo, that is a very innovative network, and there is already some collective intelligence working around Legalmondo with tools, some that could be definitely implemented, but don't care about Slack or others. Yes, those are just commodities. I think it's much more the fact of embracing the cultural changes and the service to the clients. So, top down and bottom up. At the same time, starting from Legalmondo.
Thank you, Luca. Very appreciated. Any other question or input? Iga will be with us in the afternoon. Oh, sorry.
I've been confronted with a lot of service providers on the internet, like Clover, for example, or there's also there's a company called GLS in Singapore. I don't know if you heard about them. They offer also legal tech support with templates, etc. Can you give us a little bit more information about what's available in the market regarding templates, like for joint venture contract or similar things? What is available and how do you see it? Because I see it very critical, because a lot of companies try to sell you these kind of services, and I always ask myself, under what law are you actually providing those services? And it turns out it's that a lot of U.S. service providers, they have templates under their own jurisdiction. That doesn't help me very much. So.
Thank you very much for the question. I think that it touches upon a deeper one, which is the standardization of legal documents, which is a topic on its own, and I believe that should be discussed. I don't know if any of you have heard of the project One NDA. A few.
We actually signed up for it as Legalmondo, even though we don't know.
Yeah. There we go. So a few words about it. It's a project to really establish, launched by 2 British women, I believe, to establish a common version of the NDA, so a document that is commonly used. They succeeded. It was a beautiful project, and I have also another agency of legal design that was involved from Paris, a very, very admirable one. So this goes back, but I'm going to ask you a question. Don't worry, I'm just, speaking about this bigger thing that I believe of importance and something we should reflect on, and it's also one of the upcoming topics that I have on my list. And if you keep in touch with me, you will be more than welcome to participate in one of the webinars on the topic of standardization of legal documents, where it's going. We'll have the guest, hopefully, from One NDA. But to answer that, I'd be careful, and it goes by jurisdiction, of course. I cannot answer globally which one would be. I think that something that legal tech does, and it's visible in a number of countries, is that it covers the area that wouldn't be served by a lawyer. So there is some sort of cases that basically, given the cost-benefit analysis, that they don't calculate for the lawyers to take, depending on the jurisdiction, of course. For instance, in Spain, let's take a general one that came to my mind. The case of the flight delays, nobody would argue, nobody would go for that. That was when legal tech intervened. So this is something that legal tech took over, those platforms that do this service for you, because it wouldn't be affordable to get a lawyer on that matter. And in case of these templates that you discussed, I think that it's a bit the same at this moment. There are some controversies. I know in France I followed one that whether it's the service, there is a decision actually from the German court, German Superior Court, just from last month, stating that it's not legal advisory. So here we could argue what's the responsibility of the alternative legal service provider, whether it's allowed or not. It's quite ethical and competitive on the French market. So of course they went into this discussion whether it should be allowed. Germany did the same. I wouldn't worry about them too much, in a sense of if you're thinking whether your clients are going to go there. I think that there is clients going for that and just basically drafting contracts themselves and downloading them from internet, or not doing the contracts either, and let them be, in a sense. That's not your public. You cannot serve everyone. You're not the take-it-all law firms. At least that's not I wish for you. Where you could get your focus is on thinking whether it's something, of course, starting from the inside and then going to the outside, whether it's something that you want to build, in the sense of how you manage your knowledge, how do you use your templates, and whether maybe it would be more affordable for you as a law firm to offer that outside, do a B2B, instead of delivering that service as a law firm and charging for it. This can be called cannibalism, but I'm good with that.
Yeah, and as Steve Jobs put it when he invented the iPhone, and it was also an iPod, and so the opposition he got from the management was, we are cannibalizing our own product this way. No one will buy the iPod Touch if we do the iPhone. And Steve Jobs said, if we don't do it, someone else will do it. So we'd rather take the money and keep the business with us and get out a better product, not be afraid of change, because that's, you know, always a problem. Iga, you're with us this afternoon, right? So I'd say we can continue this brainstorming together. Yeah. And so, yeah, let's continue in the afternoon. I really enjoyed it. And maybe going back to Christian's request, we can open up a forum, a Basecamp, because we are using some legal tech. We can discuss in Basecamp about new tools, DeepL, and whatnot, and share ideas and feedbacks there. So that can be a way forward.